Get ready to learn something about football, and in particular Cincinnati Bengals, because our guest in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics today, is Bengals Director of Player Personnel, Duke Tobin. And man, what a masterful job he's done putting together the Cincinnati Bengals. Every draft pick, 8 picks, made it last year. All 10 picks made it this year. And then 2 college free agents to boot. That's 22 additional people to the football team. So these young players are going to be the depth people on the football team. And that's the initial role they fill, and they will fill, and they're looking to expand those roles. And boy, I'll tell you what, nobody does it any better than Duke Tobin and his staff in terms of evaluating player personnel, trying to fit them into roles with the Cincinnati Bengals. And boy, they put the bat on the ball so many times. Duke talks all about that. He talks about his expectations for this season and so much more. You're going to like Duke Tobin. Welcome once again to In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. As always, we are emanating from our new studios, and they are outstanding. First Star Logistics provides nothing but the best. We have nothing but the best as a special guest right now. You made a good decision to join us because Duke Tobin, who is responsible for putting together the Cincinnati Bengals roster on a year-by-year basis with his crew, as always. But, you know, Duke's he's the ringleader, man. He's the guy. He's the quarterback, and he played the quarterback position. Duke Tobin's a football lifer, and he knows what he's talking about, and we are delighted that he's joined us. Duke, how you be, sir?
I'd be good, Dave. How are you?
Nice I'd be hanging in there.
Settled here.
That's what I was going to say. You're, it's at 53, but you know, not in concrete, I guess, at this point in time, and it's that way around the National Football League for everybody. But 53-man roster as such. Do you feel pretty good about it?
Really do. You know, we were able to get some guys back on our practice squad that we wanted. So that's always good. We added some new faces there that will have a chance to come in and help us as we go. The practice squad's really important. You know, those guys have to be ready to play at a moment's notice. And we were happy with the guys that made the team. And, you know, we feel like we got a pretty good group.
Tell us about the most recent addition on the edge for you at defensive end that you picked up. He wasn't a participant with the Bengals through training camp, but you picked him up.
Yeah, we had some injuries that hit our D line, and so we were looking to backfill a little bit. And KJ Henry is who you're talking about. And he was on the waiver wire. He was the guy we liked a little when he came out. He was a draft choice. Got to play some last year. He's got a little bit of experience in the NFL. He's got some familiarity with our players, our coaches, and you know, we thought he was a good addition for us as we try to account for some injuries that we had.
And we talked about the fact that you know, all 8 of your draft picks made the roster last year. We talked about that last year. Obviously, this year, all 10 of your draft picks made the roster, plus 2 college free agents, and kind of the talk of training camp, and rightfully so. Njongmeta was the leading tackler, and I mean, he was a very instinctive football player out there. I mean, he earned it, didn't he?
Well, we tell everybody that walks in the building, it's not how you got here. It's not what kind of draft pick or whether you were a pick at all. It's what you do once you get here. And our coaches do a great job of bringing guys along, giving them opportunity, and seeing who can develop and who can absorb what they're teaching, and people get chances when they come here, and the ones that take the best advantage of it, show their skills, have a chance to make our football team, and that's been the case for a long time.
And do you think Maema, the fact that his mental capacity is so vast? I mean, he's got tremendous IQ. You know, he comes from a family of intelligent people, and he's intelligent as well. Not only raw intelligence, but football IQ. I mean, he's a guy that gets it, doesn't he? And is that something that, man, we can grow and develop with this? Plus, you know, he can play the game physically, but man,
Yeah.
dude's pretty smart.
If you don't have it between the ears, it makes it exceedingly difficult to succeed for a long time in our league. You have to be able to process it. You have to be able to be relied upon by your teammates, by our coaches. You've got to be in the right position. If you're in the wrong position, it's going to make for real problems, particularly on defense. You got to play as a unit, and everyone has to trust each other. And Mooma's a smart guy, and the smarter you are, you got to have the physical capabilities, but the smarter you are to put yourself in position really gives you a chance. And he absorbed it quickly, and that impresses coaches. Believe me, when they give you something and you don't make repeated errors, that impresses them.
Yeah, I can remember very vividly, you know, Paul Brown talking about the importance, when I was a rookie, the importance of understanding and being able to learn the game of football. If you're struggling in that regard and holding your team back, he said you will not be part of this organization very long. I was like, oh, better hit the playbook. Here we go.
Yeah,
it was extremely important, a big priority for sure, no question, and it still is. I mean,
yeah.
You know, the worst thing in the world is if you're, say, up in the offensive line and the guy next to you, it's like, I'm not sure he's got it. I hope he's got it. Should I communicate it again? I mean, if you've got that kind of doubt in your mind before the ball snapped, it lessens your chances dramatically.
It does. Fast guys out of position aren't better than slow guys in position. And that's been forever.
Yeah.
Give me the guy that's in position. He's got a much better chance of making it than the fast guy that's out of position.
Absolutely. Another story of training camp on the offensive side of the football was how Erick, you know, once he was healthy enough to start practicing, man, talk about a guy that ascended quickly. I mean, he's an ascending guy, and he's still got ceiling. I mean, he's still ascending, but he, man, you got a good one there. He looks
impressed, you know, out of football for a long time doing the rehab stuff, and he came back in, looked like he hadn't missed a beat, and he's got confidence in his knee, which is the important thing. You want to see that, but he plays physical, and he can factor both in the pass and the run, and so, you know, the sky's the limit, and he's still coming back. He's not everything he's going to be as he gets his feet under him as the season goes, but he's a guy we really liked, and we were hoping that he could come back in a healthy way, and he has, and probably a little faster than maybe we even thought.
You know, the depth of the roster is going to be carried by a lot of these guys we're talking about, you know, that you drafted in the last couple of years in the college free agents. I mean, it's this football team is so young. The average age 25.8 years, younger than last year's team that was third youngest in the National Football League. And Ted Karras and Brown are 31. That's not old in today's NFL. You've only got 15 players with 6 years or more experience. That's incredible. It really is. And the position group, that 8 guys, 7 or more years experience, 4 defensive linemen, 3 offensive linemen, and 1 of the tight ends. And that's where you'd like to have, you know, some savviness and some experience, you know, and all your skill guys that have to run around and do all the things they do. I mean, they're just in the beginning stages of their prime. You have to be excited about this roster.
Yeah. I mean, it's a young man's game, and it has been. But we've got good veteran leadership, and then we've got good leadership from our emerging young talent, and they've learned the right way from the veterans that we've had. And it's just the way of the NFL right now. You've got to have young talent feeding in the pipeline, particularly when you get guys at the very top of the pay range at certain positions. It challenges you to find young guys that are going to be the next wave. And the guys that made our roster earned it. They didn't make it because they're young and a little cheaper. They earned it. They actually earned their way on our roster, and that's a good thing to see.
And, you know, everybody's got a role. but it doesn't mean you can't expand your role. How exciting is that for you when you see a guy, that you thought could do it, and the first checking the first box is, yeah, okay, he's on that 53-man roster. Will he be active on game day? Will he expand his role? And as you watch these guys, develop and grow and progress, how exciting is that for you?
That's the name of our game in personnel. That's what we do. We forecast, we predict, we have visions of guys and how their careers will go, and we want to see it. And when it happens as we've predicted, it's a great feeling. It doesn't always happen that way. There's a lot of factors that go into it: opportunity, injury, work ethic, the things that are not part of their physical makeup, and you have to you have to forecast how this guy is going to make the transition. And when they make the transition and start to show the things that you predicted when you wrote the report, our guys are in hotels writing reports right now about next year's guys, and they have visions of how their career would be with us, and they're trying to capture that in their report and send it through the organization of, here's a guy that could be this, and this is what I see. And when those things start to blossom, it's really rewarding for our scouts, and they do a great job in visualizing what guys can be.
And man, it's going to be so tough. Like you say, they're already working on next year, and you got the NIL guys moving around, and you've got guys coming out early, and it's, if they're paid enough, maybe they will stay in college in the NIL. I mean, it's like, how different is it? I mean,
it's a lot different, Dave.
Yeah.
It's a lot different, and you got to probably look at more guys in when you're in every college, because you're not really sure who's coming out and who's transferring and who's going back. And so you end up it's maybe a little more work in the fall to come to that consensus about who's actually going to be a part of the draft. We end up grading a lot of guys that are not part of the draft at the end of the day. They're either at another school, at the same school, or out of football and not playing. And so we have a lot of reports written last year and the year before for guys that are still playing college football. And sometimes we get 3 and 4 years of reports with the way this is going right now. So it's a lot of work on the guys, but it's worthwhile because we reference those reports, 2 and 3 years down the road.
I think, a few people around the league might have been surprised that KJ Henry was available, and that was like, oh man, that's a nice surprise. Were there some people that there always are, I guess, for whatever reason? I mean, people are stronger at one position group than another, and sometimes a good player, he's just kind of, the odds are, man, it's really stacked. They're so deep at that in my position group. But then there's other teams in the league that aren't, and there's always going to be a fit. But were there many guys that you thought, wow, I can't believe?
I don't know. We try to look at guys just for what they would bring us when they come in, and what we have to look at is the preseason and our history with the guy, whether it's a recent draft reports right. from last season or the preseason this year, and we look at that, and it either fits or it doesn't fit. It's hard to predict why other teams would cut somebody or not cut somebody. It's hard to cut another team down. We're not seeing their practices and so forth. So we roll with what we saw, and how we felt when he came out, and we felt like he was a good player. And so why not reach out and try to add him at a position that we've had some injuries at.
How about the fact that all players are eligible for the practice squad now, so it's like, wow. Yeah. I mean, that you talk about a plethora of players all of a sudden, boom, you've got like, over 1,000 of them, 1,200 of them, whatever it is, that all of a sudden they're available. How hectic is that for you guys?
Well, we want to keep some of the guys that we've worked with, and we want to have guys that are keyed into how we do things and our terminology, and maybe they're quicker to be able to play if we need them. So you want to stay with some of the guys that you've developed and worked with, and then you want to look and see where you can fill in and try to read the tea leaves and where might we need a guy as the season goes on. And when guys are out there, you have to wait and see what other teams do. A lot of times we like guys that end up going back to their team. We don't call them until they're available, which is after the noon deadline on I think it was Thursday or Wednesday or whenever it was.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're behind the curve, in terms of if that team wants them back, a lot of times they'll bring them back. Sometimes there are guys that have delayed the process and said, "I want to see what's out there,"
Yeah.
and then we'll call and see if there's interest in coming with us. But yes, you can have veterans. You can't have more than 6 veterans, but you can have some veterans, and we want a mix of a few veterans with some guys that are first, second year, and rookies. We want a good balance of a practice squad that gives us a lot of options as the year goes on.
I mean, that's kind of a like a microcosm of your big picture for your roster. I mean, you've got youth, you've got experience, you've got a nice mix. And now, same type of thing for your practice squad. I mean, it's it would be kind of that's kind of foolhardy to have one mindset, one phase of it, and another mindset for the other. So that continuity and the consistency of what you guys are doing, I think, has paid big dividends for you. The way you're handling it all.
Well, it's an asset having a practice squad, and you want to make use of it. And so we put a lot of resource into it, not only with who will claim, but who will pursue once we're able to pursue them. And our scouts do a great job. They grade the whole league, and they look at every team, and they try to have reports on anybody that has a chance of getting released. And so when they're released, we can reference those reports. We can stack our grades. We have a clear vision of here are the top guys right away. And then we'll watch them as a group and we'll say, yes, I don't think he fits. I like him as a player, but I don't think he fits. Other guys will say, yes, let's get him if we can. And then when the bell rings, we see if they're interested.
It's amazing. Let's take the first pick of your draft, Mims. He is big time. I mean, I know he's battling a little bit of an injury right now, but this guy is going to be a big time player for a long time. I mean, he is the real deal. And then in the middle of your draft, you take Erick All, and we've talked about what he's done. And then you go to the back end of your draft, the very last pick, Matt Lee. And I'm telling you, I'm watching Matt Lee training camp. It's like, whew, dude can play, man. I like that little, he's got that little hop set that he does when guys are trying to bull him, and he understands how to play football. And the dude is smart as well. You talk about intelligent guys. He is a smart dude, isn't he?
Yeah, experienced player, and we knew he would show that experience, and he's got some leadership to him, and I think he's come in with the right mindset of learning from the veterans, getting better every day, starting to really feel more comfortable in our offense and making the calls and so forth, and he's a guy with a good future. I mean, he's what you want from a personality standpoint, particularly at the center position, and he's got a great one to learn from as we go.
We talked about how difficult it is to compete on a week-to-week basis. It's challenging in the AFC North. The AFC North is, in my mind, no question, the best division in the National Football League from top to bottom. You don't have to be a football Einstein to think that way. It's like it's right there, and the numbers showed it last year. I mean, 9-8 record for the Bengals, one game away from the playoffs, and finished fourth in the division, and was a good football team, and is a good football team. And this division, the thing that impresses me most, Duke, about it is it's so physical. I mean, it'll hit you right in the mouth every week. Guys are going to, get right after you. They're going to hit you right under the chin. And there's so much speed. I mean, the physicality and the foot speed in this division, that combination is unbelievable. I think that's what makes it so great.
Well, it never goes away. The other teams, they do good work, and they just don't wither on the vine. And that's a challenge for us. And we've always felt that if we can win our division, we have a team that can win the Super Bowl. And that's no different this year. And we know we got a challenge with those teams, and they know they got a challenge with us. And it's I think universally looked at as, if you're playing the AFC North, in your schedule rotation, that's not an easy road. And so the teams that are lining up against us, they realize that, and we kind of know how to play each other. We play each other a lot, and there's a physicality that comes with that.
Yep.
That can translate to other games as you play throughout the year. But we have great respect for the teams in our division, and it's just doesn't go away. There's a lot of good people running those teams, and we think we fit right in.
So let me get you out of here on this, Duke, and we certainly do appreciate the time that you've carved for us, because I know it is, here it comes, a regular season game. It's less than a week away, and your work never stops. What do you like most about this football team that you've assembled? Is there, or maybe a couple things or whatever? I mean, barring injury, and what do you like most about this group?
I think they're a confident group that believes in themselves. I think everyone to a man believes that we have a team that can win the Super Bowl, and they believe it in their hearts. They don't. It's not just lip service. It's a true belief that we are an elite football team that can go win the Super Bowl, and people have a real challenge when they line up against us. That belief exists, and it's not with every team. I've been on other teams. I've seen. I know when there's lip service and when there's true belief, and our players believe in each other, and they believe in themselves, and they have enough experience in what we're doing to play fast. And so I look for a fast start. I look for our guys to be confident. If they're down, I look for them to believe that they're going to come back and win. If they're up, I look for them to put games away. I think we have that type of team, and I'm excited to watch them play.
I am too, Duke. And I'll tell you, man, like we talked about earlier, when you've got football intelligence and the want to, part of football, like you said, when the mind is right, the body will follow, and the body will do great things. But the mind has to be right, man.
Yeah,
it has to be right.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, Lap.
Duke, I appreciate the heck out of you. You're the best, and you've done a hell of a job for this organization for a long time, and I hope it continues for many more years, sir.
It's time to go get it right now, and our guys are ready to go, and looking forward to watching them play.
I'm with you, Duke. Let's go. Let's go, Duke.
All right,
Here we go.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.